Hey, what's up? It's Joe. Welcome to my 5 Minute Friday for August 23rd. So, things in my mind this week. Yeah, just, been spending the week doing lots of podcasts, writing a ton. You'll start seeing a lot more things trickling out on practicaldatamodeling.substack.com now that I actually have time to pay attention to the book. I've got a few more things I need to record for the course, but I think it's in pretty good shape there. So, yeah, I'll just be turning my attention, like I said, back to actually finishing this pretty ambitious book I've been writing. I'm really excited about it, but it's a lot of work. Writing books is hard. So bear with me as we get it done, but it'll get done. So things in my mind this week. What was it? Later last week, I posted a post on LinkedIn. 2 sentences. Most companies want to do AI. Most are barely doing BI. Got a lot of reactions. I think almost 1,500 and counting, which for something that's 2 sentences, I guess it's pretty good. But I want to unpack that a bit. I think quite a bit of truth in this, but I think it also is perhaps said in a way that is confusing for people. So let's unpack the first sentence. Most companies want to do AI. I don't think it's a secret that a lot of companies are interested in doing AI for, I think, the obvious reason that there could be productivity gains, and new ways of doing business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, a lot of companies want you to do this as well. There's it's interesting just seeing the number of vendors out there that are pushing AI in their products, and obviously the business consulting industry is trying to rake in as much as they can. McKinsey said generative AI will make up about 40% of its business this year. It's coming from Morning Brew. BCG. What is this other stat here? Let me see. Log into this, but yeah, there were some interesting stats I saw where the consulting industry was just raking in a ton of money off of this, right? So everyone's trying to get you to do AI, and I think this is the difference between this and other hype cycles I've seen with machine learning, and I guess now you call it AI, was the past hype cycles were mainly around advances that practitioners could take advantage of. And these practitioners would be, in the 2010s, the data scientists, maybe in the 1960s, 1970s, those are researchers, 1980s, again, mostly researchers and so forth. But you start seeing some hype cycles at the beginning of the 2010s about citizen data scientists and tools that would enable them to, enable anybody to do machine learning and predictive analytics. And then along comes the deep learning boom in the kind of the 2013, 2014 timeframe. But that, again, that was mainly a practitioner thing, right? So data scientists were then trying to shoehorn deep learning into everything. I remember that hype cycle all too well. I kept hearing that, business intelligence and data warehousing was going to go away because you could just replace it with Python and deep learning, right? And obviously deep learning has a ton of utility. A lot of companies use it all the time. That's in fact what fueled the the underpinnings of the transformer model in 2017, which is now the underpinnings of a lot of the large language models that you see. So, everything sort of has utility in the end, but it's definitely accompanied by a lot of hype. I think the deep learning craze has died down, but that doesn't mean there's not utility to deep learning. There's a ton. And similarly, right now, what you're seeing is, I think the big difference is that when ChatGPT came out in late 2022, that was really the first time that you had a bona fide consumer application that was attached to AI, right? And so obviously there's machine learning that operates within your iPhone, within your computers, and that's been the case for ages. And if you look at a lot of cameras in your phone, they're basically just giant machine learning apps, giant computer vision apps. But ChatGPT was really the first time that I think that the public had a chance to interact with an app that was kind of magical in a way, right? I remember my first time using ChatGPT, I was like, this is pretty awesome. And you could show it to your friends and family and they would immediately understand it. And that was pretty cool, right? And I think it was like the fastest growing consumer app of all time. But then if you look at subsequent usage of ChatGPT, it kind of fell off a cliff as far as the research that I've seen. So we're at an interesting point where there's, I think a ton of hype, but also a lot of utility around the latest, generative AI applications. I only feel like we're getting started. I think part of the hype too is, there's a lot of money in the VC world that needed to go somewhere, and tech startups and data startups sort of died down, and crypto was on its way out. So you needed something else to throw your money into. So this is it. This happens in every hype cycle, right? That's just follow the money. But back to the comment about, most companies want to do AI. I just think there's a lot of pressure for companies to do AI. I think if you look at most studies that are out or surveys, it seems like every company has to have an AI story. You look pretty dumb if you don't have one. So that's just the game theory behind it. And I think you're starting to see sort of this hype cycle die down. I think we're probably at the top of it, in my opinion. Could be wrong. But, there's a lot of articles, like I'm looking at one right here from The Conversation. Generative AI hype is ending, and now the technology might actually become useful. I do share the sentiment. But what about the BI part? Most are barely doing BI. This comes back to the fact that, more broadly, digital transformation is hard, and business intelligence efforts have always been, I think, hamstrung by a variety of issues. One is, like I said, digital transformation is difficult. It's costly, and it's hard to get adoption for a variety of reasons. And two, it's just that data is hard, right? So the underlying data sets that power BI is, just there's a whole industry, the data industry, it's cropped up to help make data better. And I don't think we're any further along than we were, in the past 10, 20 years. But now, I guess the point is, when you're talking about use cases where you want to throw a large language model on top of data sets that barely work with BI, now you want AI to work on these. And I think that this is a very suspect thing. So I think, again, the crux has always been the data. The crux will always be the data until we can figure out a magical way to do it. Maybe AI will do it, but that was the whole point of that post was really, just AI is hard, BI is hard, and these things are just hard. And so I think there's obviously ways where you could throw AI into a company and have it yield some benefits. I think what Klarna did with their chatbots was interesting. So they made basically a level 1 chatbot for the company that could answer pretty basic customer service calls. But that's a pretty routine thing that existed before generative AI, right? I think generative AI is able to help answer edge cases a lot more easily. And it seems like Klarna did it right, but that's just one example. But you're going to start seeing a lot more of this, and more companies trying to do agentic workflows and stuff. But again, it's always about the data, right? So in some cases, the data might be easier to get. Like if you have a call center or customer service interactions, and just throw those into a large language model that's relatively simple. Another friend of mine, he was telling me about, he works for a major Fortune 100 company. I can't say who, but it's telling me in the manufacturing area they're a highly regulated business, and they have to keep their documentation in order. So they created a large language model of I think 5 million documents there. Probably a small language model actually, but anyway, it's a hit inside the company. People can query the data and get insights they normally couldn't have gotten otherwise. And so I think that's a perfect use case for it, where you're just throwing free-form text or unstructured data into these models. But that's always been how it's worked. I mean, I think machine learning, like deep learning, has always worked better on unstructured data sets than tabular data. So, and I think what you're going to find is you're going to see the same thing with unstructured data sets just lend themselves a lot better to machine learning use cases. But that's always how it's been. Tabular data has just always been kind of the last mile, from my experience, working in machine learning for a long time. And so, but hopefully we get there. I think given the kind of virality of the post that I did, it definitely struck a chord with a lot of people. I think some people violently disagree, which is totally fine. That's the kind of debate that I want to usher in. But I just want people to keep thinking, what's the root cause of the problems that's prevented things like BI from really working, right? If it worked, we wouldn't be complaining about it. Yet to this day, I go look on LinkedIn, and every day there's a post about, you know, you don't need dashboards, or, here's how you make better dashboards. And like these are arguments we've been talking about for decades, and we're still no closer to solving them than we were back then, back in the decision support days. So, yeah, data is important, it turns out. So anyway, a lot of companies want to do AI. I think most companies are going to be stuck trying to do BI. Will there be ways around this? Will AI magically just leapfrog the need to do BI? I guess time will tell. Anything's possible, I guess. Cool. This went over about double the typical 5 minutes, but welcome to the show. The show just keeps getting longer, but 10-minute Fridays doesn't seem to have the same ring as 5-minute Fridays, so here we are. Anyway, I'm going to be spending the weekend, like I said, just recording some stuff for the course, writing for the book, taking care of a bunch of content stuff, because come February, or sorry, I don't even know what month it is, September, it's going to be a really busy season for me. Got a lot of travel coming up pretty soon, and hopefully I dedicate some time to, writing the book, but just going to be kind of in a constant state of motion. So anyway, that's that. Hope you have a great weekend, and take care. Bye-bye.